This used to be how everybody powered their FPV goggles. This is a 2-cell battery. This particular one is an 18650 cell battery pack. Some of them were actual dedicated 2-cell lithium batteries. And the reason that everybody powered their goggles that way was because goggles didn't take higher voltage input. They took 2S or maybe 3S if you wanted to run it really close to the edge. But not everybody has 2-cell batteries laying around in their packs, and everybody wondered, why can't I just use my flight packs, my 4-cell batteries, or even my 6-cell batteries? And a lot of goggles nowadays do take 6S input, such as the Orcas, Sky Zones, DJI, pretty much everybody except Fat Shark, I guess. But even if your goggles do take 6-cell input, a lot of people don't feel comfortable feeding that high voltage into their delicate goggles. What if something goes wrong? So a lot of people started getting cables like this one. And although this looks just like an XT60 to barrel jack cable, it's not. It has a built-in voltage regulator that takes the input voltage and steps it down to 9 volts, a nice, safe 2S voltage. But there's a problem with this. And the problem is that when you're using a voltage regulator cable, you don't know when your battery's about to die. The 9-volt regulator keeps putting out 9 volts until your battery just tanks, goes to 0 volts, and you destroy it. And also, oh, by the way, your goggles you don't get a low voltage warning either. Your goggles just suddenly stop working. That sucks. And that's why I am happy to introduce you to the product that I'm going to show you today. It's a product that solves that issue. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. At first glance, this cable probably looks just like any other voltage regulator goggle cable. You plug your battery into it. You can use any of your flight packs, 4S, 6S, you name it. You plug it in. There's an XT60 right here, and it outputs a nice, safe 2S voltage right here. This is great because you don't need separate goggle batteries. As long as you've got flight packs, you've got goggle batteries, and you can just keep flying all day long without ever giving it a second thought. But the improvement that I've made, let me demonstrate it to you with multimeters. So this multimeter here on the left is hooked up to the output of my bench power supply. It's currently set to 24 volts, but we can change that up and down as we need to. And this multimeter here on the right is going to be hooked up to the output of my special cable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just plug that in. Here we go. And you're going to hear that it beeps 6 times, which means it detected that this is a 6S battery that we've plugged into it. And then what it's going to do is, it's going to take that 6S battery voltage input and scale it down, not to a fixed 9 volts, but to the equivalent 2S battery output. So 23.99 volts going in, 8 volts coming out. And if I lower that voltage as the battery discharges, let's just take this down to, I don't know, 20 volts. We're coming on down. And we can see that as the battery discharges down, instead of the goggles getting a fixed 9-volt output from a fixed regulator, the output of the cable also goes down, so you will get a low voltage warning. You will be able to see the status of your battery as it discharges. You will get anticipation that the battery is about to die, and you'll be able to sort of, it's like you had an actual 2S battery, but it's a 4S or a 6S. And that, in some ways, is it. That's the video. Well, okay, let me tell you a little bit more about it. As you saw, the cable will attempt to automatically detect the supply voltage. So here, you hear 4 beeps, 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning it thinks it's getting a 4S voltage, and it's doing the same little trick. Here we've got a fully charged 4S going in and a fully charged 2S coming out. There's a table, we had to sort of, it's got to guess. Like, in theory, a almost discharged 4S is going to look like a fully charged 3S. So we had to do our best to sort of guess about the input voltage. You're going to want to make sure that you listen to the number of beeps when you first plug in and make sure it matches the number of beeps that you're expecting. If you plug in a 6S and it only beeps 5 times, then the problem is it's going to read that discharged 6S battery as if it was a fully charged 5S battery. It's going to output a full 8.2 volts here, and then you're going to kill your 6S battery because it's going to do the thing I told you at the beginning of the video. It's just going to keep outputting a higher voltage until the battery dies. So listen to those beeps when you first plug in and make sure that they're reading correctly. The other thing that I want to sort of give you a heads up about is that we've done our best, and I say we, NewBeeDrone made these for me. I had the idea, I went to NewBeeDrone because I thought they'd be a good partner to make this with. I proposed the idea, they did all the engineering, all the development, all the manufacturing. Thank you to NewBeeDrone for helping me with this. That's, by the way, also where you can purchase this if you prefer. We've done our best to make it as precise as possible, but this is obviously not a piece of lab-grade equipment. The one that I've got is working really freaking well. The math actually works out really well, and it's pretty accurate. But I would suggest if you get one of these, that the first thing you do is you plug in a battery, you use a cell checker that you believe is accurate to test the voltage of the battery, and you look at the output. And if your output is reading maybe a 10th high or maybe a 10th low, then you keep that in mind as you're thinking about how low to let your battery go when you're seeing it in your goggle display. Now, you should know that I never give my own products a pass when it comes to asking, is this a good value? Are there competing products that are better for somebody? And as I've looked around at other competing products on the market, well, first of all, there actually aren't as many as there used to be. A lot of the small manufacturers or one-off manufacturers that used to make these goggle power cables have sort of fallen by the wayside. One that comes to mind is the SICK power cable, which is really nice braided power cable with an on-off switch, but it is a fixed power output, which of course is the main feature that this is designed to deal with. The price of this is currently about $15. That may change in the future because of the world we live in. If the manufacturing cost goes up, the retail cost will go up. But if you look at other cables that are out there that are similar, they run in the $15 to $20 range. Some of them might have a little bit better build quality like a braided cable, but they don't have this variable output power feature. We may actually do a version of this cable in the future, a slightly more premium version, but we just wanted to judge whether there's demand for something like this. Are y'all still using? Like, I used to really prefer to keep the battery on the side of my head. And the more and more I got tired of keeping separate packs charged up, the more and more I just wanted to use my flight packs. And now I almost always and also I have so many different goggles now. I more and more just use a power cable like this. And I just don't have to think about, is this goggle take 6S? Does it take 4S? They just all get 2S, and I don't even give it a second thought. So keep your eye out. Let me know if you think that you'd be interested in one with like a power cable, maybe a little voltage readout, nice braided. If that was at the $20, $25 price range, would that be like super ridiculous or what? And if you're interested in picking this up, of course, there's a link in the video description. It's always so nerve-wracking putting a new product out there. Are you going to like it? Are you going to think it's stupid? Tell me in the... I'm tempted to say tell me in the comments, but if you think it's stupid, maybe don't tell me in the comments. Happy flying.